final step echoing, Vinyl congratulated herself silently before making her way for the door. "See you later, Mom and Dad," she whispered before pressing the violet button near the door, unlocking it. Keeping an eye out for her parents as she did so, Vinyl slowly edged her way out. With the click of the door behind her, the filly found herself alone on her street. The air that whisked through Cloudsdale Boulevard was frigid. The stars, distant yet refulgent, dotted every square inch of the sky that hung over Vinyl Scratch's head like a blanket over a newborn foal. The occasional light emanating from a single room of an otherwise dark house assisted in lighting the world around the unicorn. For a time, Vinyl simply stood where she was, taking in her surroundings. She'd never been out of her house alone this late. As she walked down the cobblestone path that led her to the street, she felt the world collapse behind her. With a turn in the cobblestone path, Vinyl made her way to a familiar house, counting the numbers on each mailbox in her mind as she passed them. With no pony to talk to, Vinyl made the occasional comment to herself. "I wonder if they've gone off to bed. I don't want to wake 'em. 51. Is he even going to say yes? If he doesn't, I'm basically done for. 43. Man, it's freezing out here. How much longer till I get there? 31. There it is. That's the house. 23. Vinyl cantered over to the humble-looking home, following a similar stone path to the door. Noticing a light coming from one of the windows at the front of the house, she walked to it and peered inside. In the room, she saw Glissando, who was wrapped neatly in a blanket on Breakbeat's own bed. The colt sat watching her from the floor next to the bed. Vinyl debated whether or not to knock for a moment. I wouldn't want to startle her. She looks like she's still up, Vinyl said to herself. And so she waited outside in the freezing air on the outskirts of Philadelphia, waiting to be seen. After a while, she saw Gliss say something to Breakbeat. She wasn't sure what, and Breakbeat turned to the window, immediately noticing Vinyl. With a surprised look on his face, he spoke seemingly silent words to the sightless pony and made his way out of the room. Seconds later, the front door opened and Breakbeat stepped outside. "What are you... Breaker, can I stay with you?" Vinyl finally asked the question she'd been waiting to ask all night. "What?" A shocked look spread across Breakbeat's face. "You're my family, Breaker. You're way better than my parents. I figured that out tonight. Mom and Dad, they don't even care. So please, at least for a while." As she spoke, the shocked look on Breaker's face became one of understanding. "Vinyl, you're always welcome here, but living here? I dunno. Since you're here, though, come on. Bliss is waiting." Vinyl smiled and followed the blue pony into his house, shutting the door behind her. The house was just as she remembered. Wooden floors, white doors. A gold record hung from the wall, courtesy of RIAE. "Dad's still up since we've got to look after Gliss, just making sure he can help as much as possible. She's in my room, like you saw. Just go in whenever you want." "Thanks, Breaker. Oh, and I'm really hungry. Do you got anything?" Vinyl turned to the kitchen door to her left. "Dad made too much salad tonight. You can have what's left if you want." "Just like old times," Vinyl thought to herself. "That sounds great. I'll be with Gliss." Vinyl grinned at her friend and walked into Breakbeat's room, where Gliss still rested in bed, facing the wall. "Is Vinyl coming in?" The question made Vinyl smile warmly as she came to the bedside. Gliss turned over toward the unicorn. "It's me, Gliss." She sat down next to the bed and watched as a joyous expression burst out on the Earth Pony's face. As Vinyl looked at the bed, the first thing she noticed was that the white pillowcase Gliss rested on her was dotted gray, a sure sign that she had continued to cry. "Oh, hey, Vinyl." Gliss sounded much happier than Vinyl expected. "Thanks a ton, Breakbeat," she thought. "How are you holding up?" Vinyl was a bit afraid of the answer she could get. Would Gliss cry again? Would she simply turn away? "I'm doing a tiny bit better, I guess. Breakbeat's really nice, and he makes me want to smile. I'm just glad he cares, I guess." Both ponies smiled. "I know, he's great, isn't he?" The unicorn giggled a bit before noticing that Breakbeat was coming. Vinyl, your salad's ready. Vinyl turned back to Breakbeat. Thanks, Breaker. Hey, where can I put my bag? Noticing that she still was wearing her saddlebag, Breakbeat lifted it off of her, setting it gently in the corner of the room. As it passed him, he saw that all she had were her records. Vinyl, you know you forgot to pack your school stuff, right? Yeah, she replied quickly. They're the only things I really care about. Breakbeat walked to her side, lowering the glass plate of salad to the ground. It looked gorgeous. Macintosh apples, spinach, endives, and carrots, all drenched in molasses. A nearly euphoric sensation overcame Vinyl as she took her first bite. Dad got extra apples from the family over at Philadelphia Fields today. Hope you like 'em. Both ponies beamed at each other. The salad's really good, isn't it, Vinyl? Gliss took an audible whiff of the fragrant food. That's the salad we had earlier. Yep, Vinyl replied, taking a bite of apple and carrot. After swallowing her food, she continued. I had this salad when I met Breakbeat. Is it some kind of family recipe? Not exactly, he replied, but all of our food is grown in Philadelphia and its surrounding farms. We don't buy imported food, not like Canterlot ponies. That's pretty cool, I suppose, Vinyl said as she prepared to take another bite. So, what have the two of you been talking about? Gliss smiled. Well, Breakbeat was telling me stories for a while. Actually, I made one up myself a long time ago, and I was about to tell it when you showed up. Want to hear it? Sure, Vinyl said as the two ponies watched her sit up and turn to them, her eyes focusing over their heads at the amethyst-colored wall. Go ahead. Okay, she said, preparing herself. It all started in a place the ponies near it called the Forest of Light. All of the trees grew perfect leaves. Whenever the leaves fell, they would turn into pure light before they could reach the ground, and the light would float up to the sky so that daytime could last longer. One day, though, the leaves started falling to the ground, and the days got shorter and shorter. Soon there was no daytime at all. Fairy Pony was very sad about this. She yawned before continuing. As minutes passed, she wove a tale of a young Earth Pony who dreamed of becoming the 13th Paladin in Princess Celestia's court, and his quest to return the Forest of Light to its former splendor. The further she progressed through her story, however, the more she found herself yawning. It was during the pony's confrontation with the cruel unicorn that Gliss finally lost herself to her dreams. As she began to snore softly, Breakbeat and Vinyl giggled a bit and stood up. I'll just show you to your room, I guess, Breakbeat whispered to Vinyl. The two ponies walked slowly and carefully out of Breakbeat's room, and with a gentle shutting of the door, made their way to the back of the house to a white door. This is like her guest room. You can stay here as long as you'd like, all right? I'll have to talk to Dad, but I think he'd love the idea. Anyways, get some sleep, all right? Vinyl looked at Breakbeat wordlessly for a minute, a blank expression forming itself into a smile on her face as the family lifted up her forehead and caught the confused colt in a tight embrace. For a moment, Breakbeat could almost feel himself melting from the touch of Vinyl's warm coat on his own, the sensation sending a tingle down his spine. Even as the moment ended and she pulled away, the colt continued to experience the feeling of euphoria. This is your room for now, he said nervously as he opened the door. Inside, an abandoned room, presumably blast beats, awaited her, posters of hard rock and metal bands lining otherwise black walls. I guess Blast is crashing at some pony else's place, Vinyl said as she walked in, staring in awe at a poster for Blast Beat's favorite band, Taurocide. Strange symbols and objects were scattered across the poster, which took up to at least half of the wall she faced. Try not to pay any attention to that. Blast Beat's into some freaky stuff, Vinyl's friend said from the door. Well, good night. Night, Breaker, she replied as she heard the door close with a loud click. Almost immediately after Breakbeat's hoofsteps became inaudible, Vinyl walked slowly to Blast's bed. The sheets looked as though they hadn't been cleaned in ages, and the blanket had drink stains in it. It'll have to do, the filly thought to herself as she climbed in. The bed wasn't exactly comfortable. Whereas her own bed was covered in fine fabrics, the sheets on Breakbeat's brother's bed were cheaper. The second Vinyl pulled the cotton blanket over herself, she felt a bit warm and more than a bit uncomfortable. Vinyl wanted to go over the events of the day in her mind. From the Sandwich Pony to Gliss, from Bubblegum Pop to Mezzo-Soprano, she wanted to think about everything. However, overcome by the stress of the day, and her inability to keep her eyes completely open, Vinyl decided to simply close her eyes, if only for a minute. Before the filly's mind wandered off into a world of fantasy, however, she allowed a final thought to echo throughout her mind. The thought of the strange school recess, intended to be spent under a tree, that led to the greatest friendship she'd ever known. Whew. That took a bit longer than expected. To be completely honest, I expected that to be like maybe 40 minutes. But, I mean, yeah, I'm done with that. For now, that is currently the most recent chapter of her first base drop. It is the last one that is currently available, so if you have any suggestions for fanfics you want me to read, leave them in the comments. Be sure to subscribe and like if you like this video. And, if you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button next to the dislike button, and tell me why in the comments below, because I really want to be able to fix that. And if you don't tell me what I need to fix, I can't fix it. Can't fix it and improve my videos if you don't tell me what I need to fix. So, yeah. Please tell me why you didn't like the video. So, I'm thinking about doing My Little Pony Morphing this Magic. And it's my next one, but at the same time, it is long. I don't know. It's a really cool story. It's a crossover between My Little Pony, obviously, and the Animorphs series, if you've ever read that as a kid. I know I did. It was interesting, until I started getting paranoid. So I stopped, and then eventually I just, found the last book, got hold of it, read it, and we skipped the rest of the series, but I'm going on a tangent. Yeah, so, yeah. See you guys next time.